Good evening, everyone. First of all, I want to say how deeply honored I am to be here tonight. I know this evening is dedicated to us, but the truth is we would not be here without all of you. So really, thank you. I was assigned as an HR officer at the main armor school in the Negev. It wasn't all sunshine and rainbows. Honestly, it was mostly dirt and dust. But I felt like I was making a difference, and I loved every second of it. Then came October 7th, 2023. I woke up to sirens like most people in Israel. Within a short time, we were called to the base. I drove with another officer, and on our way, our commander called us and said that Peleg, the logistic officer, had not been answering his phone. Peleg lived in Moshav Yechini, which is near the Gaza border. The commander was worried about him, and he told us to go find him. We drove towards Yechini with interceptions overhead, explosions, and constant sirens. When we reached the Moshav and approached the yellow gate, I saw bodies laying on the road. On the right, we saw a Toyota pickup truck belonging to the terrorists. From this, we understood that the terrorists had gotten into the Moshav already. When we got inside, we met two residents. One was armed, and the other was wounded, bleeding from his legs while running through the fields trying to escape. They told us that 4 terrorists had entered the Moshav, and that 3 had already been killed. Later, I watched the security footage and actually saw that there were 8 terrorists getting out of that truck. But luckily for me, I didn't know that at the time. It was then I realized I didn't have a weapon. The officer with me only had his handgun. We had been told that the terrorists were disguised as soldiers, wearing IDF uniforms. So I took off my uniform shorts so I wouldn't be mistaken for a terrorist. After arriving, the first thing I did was call Peleg's wife, Yuval, to help me find their house. Their house was down a dirt path with a bunch of trees on the left and a cowshed next to the trees. I remember thinking, this feels like a shooting range. There was a very big chance that the terrorists were hiding in those trees. I got out of the car and sprinted to Yuval's house, terrified I'd be shot. When I got to her, she was inside with her 2-month-old baby, Alma. She told me that they didn't have a safe room, so if there was a rocket alert, we had to run outside to the neighbor's house. I remember thinking, I'd rather get hit by a rocket than have to run outside like that. Yuval didn't understand what was happening around her. She knew there were terrorists, but she didn't fully grasp the situation. I, on the other hand, had already seen videos and knew what was happening at the Nova Festival and in other bases. I had heard about people hiding in their homes in fear, and now I find myself in the exact same situation. Me and the officer I was with split roles. I stayed in the house with Yuval and baby Alma, unarmed. I knew that if a terrorist with a Kalashnikov came in, we wouldn't stand a chance. But I also knew that no matter what, I was going to protect them. That was the first time in my life I felt I was in actual danger. It took me a while, but I made peace with the fact that this might be my last day alive. And as strange as it may sound, I even felt a sense of relief and pride that I would die in my uniform. Luckily for me, I'm standing here today. The officer that was with me went out to search for Peleg. At some point, I had an idea and managed to track Peleg's phone using Find My iPhone. I sent the location to the other officer, and that's how they ended up finding him. What I didn't know was that they had actually found him dead. I found out later that he had managed to kill 2 terrorists before he got shot in the back. At the time, they chose not to tell me that he was dead because they needed me to stay calm and continue taking care of Yuval and Alma. After a couple of very long hours, we were finally able to get out. The officers escorted us to the gate, and I drove to Yuval's parents' home in Netanya. I remember driving faster than I've ever had, terrified of any danger that we might face on the way. That night, I went to sleep at a friend's house, and only then did I finally tell my parents where I had been all day. The next day, I took a bus straight back to the base and went back to work. Even if we have more time, I don't think I can fully share everything I went through during that war. There were long weeks on the field, some in Gaza and some in Lebanon, where I had a few near-death experiences. I was also very worried about my younger brother who was also in Gaza. But I stayed focused on what needed to be done and just kept going. I know what you're thinking. What does an HR officer have to do outside the office? Well, in war, anything is possible. In July 2024, I moved up to Battalion 82, which is also an armor unit. After 3 months of intense fighting, I started showing signs of PTSD. I'd never felt anything like that before. I had sleepless nights and constant fear and worry, imagining the worst and trying to pull through that pain. Since then, and until today, I've been in therapy and doing everything I can to help myself through it. Sadly, I couldn't continue serving in the army the way I always dreamed of. I had to accept the fact that I need to take a step back and focus on my healing, with the hope of building a future for myself and maybe a family one day, and just being truly okay. I am not a hero. I've been through a lot, I've helped people, I've protected my country, but I think the real heroes in this room tonight are all of you. People who choose to help wounded soldiers who went through that war, even though you don't live in Israel, and you don't have to do it, but you still choose to show up with kindness, with energy, and with a smile. That, to me, is a real hero. Before I joined Belev Echad, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I barely had friends. The friendship I had before my injury slowly faded, and I was going through a really hard time finding my place again and figuring out how to connect with people. I've been struggling with the fact that I'm dealing with an invisible trauma, the kind you don't really see on a person. You don't know what someone is carrying in their heart or what their nights look like. And then I met Belev Echad. With Belev Echad, I don't feel like I need to explain it. It's the only place where I feel truly understood and supported. I'm not alone anymore in this crazy journey. I have people I trust, and I know they have my back no matter what. I was surprised to see how much Belev Echad cares about women and values their needs. In Israel, it's not common to be a female wounded soldier, but with Neshek, we have a place where we belong. Through Neshek, I learned that it's important to take care of my body just as much as my soul. I wasn't really a massage girl before, but my first appointment at the girls' new room at Belev Echad house completely changed that for me. I left feeling, for the first time in a long time, a sense of relief and calm. Along with the treatments that they offer, we have programs made for us girls to focus on different aspects of our lives as women. For example, 2 weeks ago, I attended an aromatherapy workshop where I made a scent that finally allowed me to sleep without medication, which is a huge game changer for me. I think that the greatest thing about Neshek is that it gives us the opportunity to connect to other women. Not only have I met new friends, but I've gained new sisters who feel like family. I can't explain how grateful I am to be part of Belev Echad, to be here tonight, to be able to make peace with my injury, and even to be proud of it. This week, being a part of the female delegation to New York has been one of the greatest weeks of my life since my injury. Sorry. Being here with the girls and experience new things together, traveling and connecting with new people, has really given me an experience I will never forget. Thank you all for being the light in our darkness. Thank you for being here and supporting us in every way that you do, helping me and so many others to keep going. I would also like to take a minute and remember Peleg Salem, the logistics officer who protected his moshav with his life. You will never be forgotten. תודה רבה, עם ישראל חי.